Okay, so in today's session, we'll try to fetch data by manually writing the code directly in ODATA service. In the last session, we have used something like mapping technique, but that technique will not suit for all scenarios. So it's better to know how to write the code directly in ODATA services. So developing ODATA web service using get entity method. In the next session, we are going to focus on get entity set method. After that, we are going to compare both the methods, get entity versus get entity set. Then we can have one doubt session on these two methods after comparing both the methods. I think today it is not possible to take up doubts. We will complete one more method, that is get entity set, tomorrow. Then we'll compare both the methods, in which situation to use which method. Then if there is any doubt, tomorrow I'll clarify. So first we'll focus on this part 1, get entity method. So as I told you earlier, get entity method is used to fetch single record here. Based on input key field values. It can be single input key field or it can be multiple input key fields. But ultimately it will fetch single record based on that input key field values. This get entity method is used if the front-end application, that means UI5 or a Fiori application, contains input with simple form and output also by using with a simple form. So get entity method implementation is recommended in ODATA service if the front-end application contains input with simple form and output also with simple form. Input with simple form, output with simple form. Then get entity method is recommended in ODATA service. And get entity method contains two important parameters. We're going to use those things. One is like IT key tab. Another is ER entity. So this IT key tab will accept input key field values from front-end application. UI5 or Fiori. And we are going to use ER entity. This will send output record to the front-end application. The front-end can be UI5 or Fiori. So these are the two important parameters of get entity method. IT key tab and ER entity. One will accept input key field values, another will send output record. So if you are using get entity method in backend service, the front-end side you need to use bind element method. That means get entity method is triggered from front-end application using bind element method. That's bind element is a front-end side method. In front-end, if you use bind element, in the backend ODATA service, get entity method will be triggered automatically. That's how the framework is designed. Bind element in the front end triggers get entity method in the back end. That's a correlation. And this method should be used if input is simple form, output is also with simple form. Okay, so we'll try to write the code. But first of all, you need to remember one basic note to deal with key field name and value within the code. You need to use one standard structure. If you want to deal with key field name and key field value, while writing the code, you need to use one standard structure here. Then we can use a standard structure that is /IWBEP SMGW name value pair. So this is a standard structure provided by SAP for ODATA services to deal with key field name and key field value within your coding. /IWBEP SMGW name value pair. This contains two options internally. This contains two options internally. One is name, another is value. So name refers to name of the key field. Name means it refers to name of the key field. Refers to name of the key field. And value refers to value of that key field. Standard structure SMGW name value pair contains two options. One is name, another is value. First one, name refers to name of the key field. If you use value, it refers to value of that key field. So this is useful when you're dealing with input key field values. So let us utilize this and let us understand this entire behavior. So let me write step-by-step procedure. After writing the code, I'll give the diagram also to make you understand the data flow. So step one, you can just create a simple project. From here onwards, we are going to use this new ODATA project. We'll create a new project, and this project, we are going to use it till the end of the course, especially for ODATA services. You can go to the GW, just click create. Let me do this. You're already aware of it, how to create a new project. So let me log in. GW. So here I'm trying to create a separate project to deal with all the rest of the CRUD operations. All the 10 important methods we'll try to implement inside this ODATA service. So you'll get 4 folders as usual. For reference, this is a project name. While practicing, if you want to compare with my project, then you can open this project. In same SEGWT code, you can open this project at any point of time. While practicing from your system, if you want to compare, if you face any issue, you can compare with this project. So there is a create option, and beside that there is open option. By selecting open option, you can open my project or standard ODATA project or whatever. Any project you can open. Okay, that's the reason why I've copied that project name to this node file. Now step 2, create entity type and entity set. So this is step 2. So here you can see there is data model. You can right click, import from DDIC structure. Okay, let me select the name of the entity type, for example, EMP. And I want to import the fields from one of the table, for example, Z EMP DB table. We'll try to perform all types of insert, delete, update, fetching of data, etc. We'll try to do it initially from this particular fields of this particular table. And we'll create entity set here. So when we develop the front-end side app, we can perform all operations through this particular entity type and entity set. So entity type, we are trying to make it like EMP. Entity set becomes EMP set. So this is a database table name. This is to import the fields. This is how you can create entity type and entity set. Okay, so let me click next here. And these are the fields I want to select. Let me select all the fields here. User ID, first name, last name, email ID, country, salary, phone, etc. So let me select all the fields. And here, according to database table, user ID is a key field. So ODATA service level also, it's better to maintain the same key field. But just to make you understand some basic syntaxes of the method and its behavior, let us take two key fields. For example, let me take first name also as key field so that we can understand some more basics and internal activities. If I take single key field, the URL syntax will be different. If I take multiple key fields, the URL syntax will be different. So let us include two key fields so that we can understand both the syntaxes. Okay, so let me select both these key fields here. According to database table, this is the only key field. Just to make you understand ODATA service behavior with multiple key fields, we are selecting both the fields as key field. Right, so let me click finish here. Then the fields are imported here. And just remember the two key fields at this point of time, user ID and first name. Okay, just right click, data model, and you can import from DDIC structure. Entity type, you can make it EMP, ABAP structure, that EMP DB table we have taken to import the fields. And select checkbox to create entity set. That is EMP set in our case. Then select all the fields. Then select key fields. In this case, we have selected user ID as well as first name just to understand the URL syntax. But one field must be key field, at least one. I've selected 2 in this case. That's how you can create entity type and entity set. This is similar to our previous sessions. Now, 2 options are created. One is entity type, another is entity set. Now, I don't want to maintain mapping. In this project, I just don't want to maintain mapping. I want to write the code, especially select query, I want to write the code manually inside ODATA service directly. So in that case, first you need to generate runtime artifacts. Generate runtime artifacts. Then you can write the code after generating those runtime classes or runtime artifacts. Okay, so just select your project folder and click on, first save it, then click on this generate runtime artifacts. It will create all these required classes. Okay, so here select your project folder. This is a procedure. Generate runtime artifacts. Here you can see just select red color icon to generate runtime artifacts, then continue. So you'll get all this list of classes. Now, if you want to write the code, just directly go to DPC extension class here. So step 4, now you need to implement the functionality. For that, we have to go to DPC extension class. So what you need to do, just go to runtime artifacts. And just open data provider extension class. It's DPC extension class. Just click change and place cursor, then redefine the method. Click change and you can place cursor on the method which you want to implement. I want to implement the code in get entity method of an entity set, that is EMP set. So this get entity method belongs to an entity set, that is EMP set. In that method, I want to implement the code, so you need to redefine that method. Just click on icon, that is to redefine the method. And implement the code as below. We'll write some code, then we'll understand the data flow, the behavior, before we test it. Let me go to DPC extension class. So it contains all methods, methods from interfaces, methods from DPC class, everything will participate inside DPC extension class. As a developer, now what we can do is we can use get entity method here. It belongs to EMP sets. So let me go to get entity. First click change here. Especially you are from non-SAP background, you can just click change and place cursor here. Don't double click. If you double click, it will go to super class. Writing the code in superclass is not recommended. Why? Because whenever you regenerate, that code will be deleted automatically. So don't write the code in DPC class. You should write the code always in DPC extension class. Now just say, suppose by mistake, if I double click, now you can see it is redirecting to DPC class. If I double click a method, then it is redirecting to DPC class. That means it is redirecting to superclass. Writing the code in superclass is not recommended. Why? Because whenever you regenerate runtime artifacts, the previous code will be erased by the framework. So don't do that. What you do is just place cursor and redefine the method. Just place cursor here and redefine this. Click on this red color icon. That is to redefine. So in DPC extension class, don't double click any method, just place cursor and click on this redefine symbol. So place cursor in method which you want to implement and then redefine that method. So that's how we need to proceed. If you directly double click, then it redirects to superclass. Writing the code in superclass is not at all recommended. So this is like redefine the method. So I've already written here. Go to data provider extension class, click change, place cursor in get entity method, redefine that method. Now you can implement the code inside that method. Okay, so here, let me do this, redefine. So it opens this method end method. It opens this method and end method, that is get entity method. Now, if you want to see the parameters, you can just click on signature here. Which parameters are applicable for this method? If you want to see that, you can just click on signature. Then you'll get the method parameters. If you want to close, click the same option. If you want to open that method parameters, click on that signature option, same option. Right, so here what we can do is we can use these parameters, mainly these two parameters like IT key tab and ER entity. So for today, we'll try to use these parameters, IT key tab and ER entity. One will accept input, another will send output. Okay, let me just give the overview here. So you can write your functionality in this method, end method. And here you can use IT key tab for accepting input. You can use ER entity for sending the output. Input from front end, output also goes to the front end. By keeping this input output in mind, you need to write your database functionality. So input and output is always from UI5 theory. So IT key tab, you can take input key field value from front end UI5 or theory, and ER entity, you can send output to UI5 or theory. And here you can write your database functionality. You can use your normal ABAP skills. You can use your normal ABAP skills inside this method implementation. and you can take input, send output. That's how the plan should be while writing any method. Right. So what I want to do is here, first let me declare work area parameter, like something like, for example, work area key tab 1. I want to use type. As I told you, there is one standard structure to deal with key fields. So I can use /IWBEP SMGW name value pair. So that is for declaring work area. I can use it. You can use /IWBEP SMGW name value pair. You can see this. And this internally contains two options here. So this internal contains two options. You can see name as well as value. So this is a standard structure we are trying to use, and it contains two options, name and value. One is to refer name of the key field, another is to access value of that key field. From this so and so structure, it's a structure type, it's a standard structure. Right, so let me use that SMGW name value pair. Now there are two key fields, so let me use one more work area key tab 2. There are different ways of writing the code. Let me use this option, type IWBEP, the same structure I can use, which internally contains two options here, name and value. Don't forget this. Name of the key field, value of the key field. Now I want to use IT key tab as a standard parameter in order to capture values coming from front end. The input values comes from front end, so I can use IT key tab to access those things, to capture those key field and values. So here I can use read table statement. Read table IT key tab. You can see this. IT key tab I can use into something like work area key tab 1 and index 1. So it will capture user ID key field value. I'm using read table IT key tab into work area key tab. Index 1 refers to user ID key field. So you can capture that corresponding value. Similarly, I can use read table IT key tab. IT key tab is a standard parameter of this method, get entity method. So from that you need to extract the second key field value, that is into work area key tab 2 with index 2. So index 2 in this case, it will capture first name key field value. According to our entity type, the first key field belongs to index 1, second key field belongs to index 2. First key field refers to user ID, second key field refers to first name, according to the order in which the entity type is created. So we are trying to extract first key field from IT key tab into work area key tab 1. We are trying to extract second key field from IT key tab to work area key tab 2. So key field and its values will come from front end into IT key tab of ODATA service, get entity method. This is important parameter. From there, you can extract into local work areas like this. Index 1 refers to first key field, index 2 refers to second key field. First key field is user ID, second key field is first name. So we are trying to extract those values here. Okay, so now I can use these two things in our select query. Select single star, something like that, from ZEMP table. From whichever table you want to fetch data, you can use that in your select query. I'm trying to use ZEMP table into some corresponding fields of. I want to send the output record by using ER entity. So this ER entity will send output record to front end. Don't forget that. So that's the reason why I'm trying to fetch that record from database table and I'm trying to put it into ER entity. ER entity is the only standard parameter that will send output to the front end application. ER entity is the main standard parameter which is responsible for sending output record to the front end UI5 or Fiori. So you can bring database table record from this table to ER entity directly. But I want to fetch that based on some where clause. Where, for example, user ID equal to, and I want to use first name. Also in the where clause. So we are trying to fetch by using select query. We are fetching database table record from this table into ER entity. ER entity will send the output record to front end. But I want to fetch the data based on some where clause with user ID and first name. So why don't you pass this work area key tab 1 hyphen its value. Similarly, for first name, why don't you pass work area key tab 2 hyphen its value. So on top of this, if you want, you can write your conditions, validations, etc. Same like your normal app. You should know how to use IT key tab as well as ER entity. So by keeping front end in mind, IT key tab will capture input key field values. ER entity will send output record to the front end. So these two are most important while writing the code in get entity method. On top of this, you can write your conditions, validations, same like your normal app. There is nothing new. Here also you can use your conditions if you want. If something like work area key tab 1 hyphen value is not initial, if it is not blank, then only I want to execute this select query. You can put all your normal ABAP conditions here. Okay, let me activate this code. Okay, so there is no error. If you want to check errors, you can check by using this icon. There are no errors at this point of time. You can activate successfully. Right, so how this code works with respect to front end, when this type of code should be used. So let us understand the data flow. Let me copy this, our note file. Step 4, implement the functionality in get entity method by redefining the method. So this is a code we have written here. You can save and activate. But before we go to the next step, let us understand this data flow. This is the get entity method implementation. So this is our backend functionality technically. So the front end will be something like this. Let me just write that as ODATA ABAP service. This is like your backend service. And front end side, we can have a UI5 or Fury screen. That's a front end app. So this logic works when you have a front end screen with input form. For example, enter user ID, something like this. Enter first name. We're assuming that both are the key fields in this scenario. So you can have input form. That means input simple form with key fields like this, user ID, first name, whichever key fields you want, you can use it. And then we can have get data button. And from this button contains event handler. From that event handler, we can trigger a front end method so that the backend method gets executed. And when that backend code is executed, you will get output record. That output record also should be displayed in something like output form here. Again, the output also should be displayed in a form. That form can have something like all the fields which you're trying to fetch. So you'll get all the details based on that so-and-so inputs. First name, last name, email ID, country, salary, phone, etc. So here, the input is form, output is also form, something like this. Just right side. So this is technically a screen with input form. That input form contains some collection of fields for accepting input. There can be get data button, and for output also there is a form here. Input is a form, output is a form. Then that get entity method is mostly suitable. Okay, you can display output record here for collection of fields inside a form itself. This is how it looks like. Now, technically, I can say so this input values, key field 1, key field 2, it will reach IT key tab of ODATA service. After executing select query, based on those key fields, we're trying to send output record to the front end by using ER entity. That ER entity will supply the data to this output form. Let me repeat here. The input key field values, one or many values, but it will reach ODATA service get entity method with the help of IT key tab parameter. We are extracting those key field values into local work areas. We are passing those key field values here to a select query where class to fetch record from database table into ER entity. And this ER entity will supply the output record to the front end application here. And the front end can display that values in a form. So let me just do this here, like input key field values ultimately will reach this one. Work area key tab 1, and this will reach work area key tab 2. But both are extracted from IT key tab parameter. This is the most important. It can be one or many key fields in the front end. All those key field values will reach IT key tab. From there, you can extract. And here we are writing our select query to fetch data from database table into something like ER entity here by supplying the key field values through work area. So this ER entity is the most important parameter that is responsible for sending the output record to the front-end application. In front-end, you can display output record here in a form, complete record. So this is accept inputs. There are multiple key fields. You can accept input from multiple key fields and you can send the output here by using ER entity. So that's how this get entity method is designed so that you can satisfy the front-end screens like UI5 Fiori. And to execute this entire logic, to execute this entire get entity method functionality, from button we have to trigger event handler. Event handler will trigger bind element front-end method. If you want to execute this get entity method implementation, from this button there will be event handler. Event handler ultimately triggers, you have to make sure that it triggers bind element method. That's a front-end method. So front-end side, there will be event handlers. From event handlers, we are going to execute the front-end methods. In this case, bind element will trigger this entire functionality here. Bind element in front-end will execute this entire get entity method implementation. You can accept input, you can send output. Okay, so this point I've already written here. Get entity method will fetch single record based on input key field values. Get entity is recommended if front-end contains input as form and output also as a form. And get entity method contains two important parameters, IT key tab and ER entity. One is for accepting input, another is for sending output. And this get entity method is triggered from front-end using bind element method. That's how this framework is designed, by mapping front-end and back-end methods. Bind element front-end method is mapped to get entity method of ODATA service by the framework. So that means from here, when you call bind element in this button action, then this entire code gets executed. So when the code is executed, I can say input key field values ultimately will reach IT key tab here. After executing select query, ER entity will send output record to the front-end application here. Let me repeat. It can be one or many input key field values. Ultimately, it will reach IT key tab here. You can execute your select query and you can send output record by using ER entity from ODATA service to the front-end application here. So these arrow marks will help you in understanding the data flow. Just keep that in mind and you can develop your normal ABAP logic on top of this. Okay, let me save this. So this is get entity method implementation and data flow between front end and back end. Right, so this is a code we have implemented. So let us understand how to test it. So first, step 5, register the service. This is a new service we have created. So register the service. Go to service maintenance folder. Just click register. Then just click S. I think you can save in package and continue. So that is step 5. Let me activate, go back. You can activate this entire class. So once the method is implemented, it will turn from blue color to something like black color here, because this method is redefined and implemented. Okay, so now if you want to open this, now you can double click. After the method is redefined, you can double click. There's no problem. It opens that implementation. If you want, you can make changes in this code. After the method is redefined, you can double click, then it opens that method implementation in same DPC extension class. Right, so let me go back. Go to service maintenance, register the service. And please remember, this register option will not be enabled if you don't maintain system alias and RFC destination. System alias RFC destination should be mapped to backend with gateway. Then only this register option will work. Otherwise, this is not enabled for you. In real time, you can just talk to your basis administrator if you are facing problem in your company server. In our server, it is enabled because admin has already maintained system alias and RFC destination with mapping. Okay, just save it local or package, then continue. Then the service is registered here. You can see this. Okay, let me just write a simple note. If admin doesn't maintain system alias and RFC destination and mapping with RFC destination, then register option is disabled. So just remember that. Okay, now for testing purpose, let me go to gateway client. This is a temporary screen for testing. Step 6, test the ODATA service. So we can open gateway client. Select entity sets. In our case, there is one entity set at this level, EMP set. We are fetching the data, so by default it is get option. So select get option and execute the service with below service URLs. Execute with get option because get option executes get entity method. Okay, so here you can see there is entity sets. Let me select EMP set here. Now, if you just use EMP set, it will try to execute get entity set method. Get entity set method is not implemented, so you'll get an error. If you just use get entity set without passing input key fields, then the framework automatically executes get entity set method, and that method is not implemented, so definitely you'll get an error. So if you want to execute get entity method, for get entity method, you need to use brackets here and provide key field equal to value. If there is second key field, provide second key field equal to its value. That's the syntax you need to use in order to execute get entity method. This is the syntax you have to use. If there is single key field, just you can pass that value directly. There is a single key field in entity type, then you can just pass the value in brackets directly. If there are multiple key fields, then you need to mention that key field name equal to value, second key field equal to value. In this case, get entity method gets executed if you use brackets like this. Of course, if there is a single key field, you can pass a value. Then also it will execute get entity method. If you are not using brackets at all, then the framework, according to framework, it executes get entity set method. In our case, we have not implemented in this service, so you'll get an error. So let us go according to our scenario. Our scenario is to execute get entity. So use brackets after entity set. Provide key field equal to value. That is user ID. For example, let me try with 1001. The second key field, first name. Then let me provide some value as Vijay. So according to this syntax, get entity method is executed. So if there is any record, so that record is retrieved, and that's a single record. We are able to get it in XML format. So 1001, Vijay at ca.com, India, salary, phone number. So everything is retrieved here for that key field values. Okay, so you're trying to use entity sets. After entity set, you can use key field equal to value, comma, second key field equal to value. In brackets, you have to use. And execute the service with get option, it executes get entity method. And in this case, you're getting a single record as part of output. By default, it is in XML format. So this is like entity set, key field equal to value. The second key field equal to value. Then you can expect your output record here. After service name, entity set has to be provided. Then key equal to value. Then next key equal to value. And this is your output record here. In XML format. Okay, so let me save this syntax. It's like testing screenshot 1. First, you need to understand the behavior of each and every method, how it behaves, what is the input, what is the output, how it is getting executed. So once if you understand all the fundamentals, then you can write your normal ABAP code in your ODATA service. There is nothing special on top of that. So here, you can use this syntax to fetch output record based on input key field values. Then you can use this URL. So this is a service path, this is a namespace, and this is a service name. That's normal. Up to here, this is technically service URL. But you can see there is entity set. After entity set, we have to use brackets. And within brackets, you have to mention key field equal to value. If there is second key field, then use second key field equal to value with comma separator. Then you'll be able to get that record. Let me try some other record. For example, 1002. I think there is one record with Ajay. Let me try. So execute the service. Then you can see we're able to get that specific record. User ID 1002, first name Ajay, last name Sharma, email ID Ajay at ca.com, country India, salary, phone number. So everything is retrieved. Okay, so you can test it. Take this also. Now let me try some other record. For example, 1003. Maybe there is some record with Suman. Let me try. Execute the service. Then you can see we are able to get that record. User ID 1003, Suman Kumar, Suman at ca.com, India, salary 66,000, phone number. Everything is retrieved here. So this is how you can execute get entity method. When input is key fields, output is single record, then you can use this get entity method implementation. So this is like testing screenshot 3. So you can place any record here as input key field, for example, 1001, and execute the service, then you'll get that record back here. 1002 with Ajay, execute the service, you'll get that record here. 1003 with record Suman as first name, execute the service, you'll get that record here. So it is working according to our expectation. While testing, you can try these URLs. Now say suppose I want to fetch output data in JSON format. So what I want to do is to fetch output data or output record in JSON format. Then what you can do, you can use any of these URLs, and on top of that you can use $format equal to JSON. Here you can see I can use URI option. Entity set key field equal to value, comma second key field equal to value within brackets. After that you can add URI option here. That is like $format equal to JSON. So it will take question mark $format equal to JSON in the URL. So you can use that here. Question mark $format equal to JSON. For any of these things you can try. Now let us check what happens here. Execute the service. Now you can see same output record. It is displayed in JSON format here. Left side name, left side field name, right side value. Left side is a field name, right side is a value. So that's how the JSON format looks like. This is a lightweight format technically. This is technically lightweight format. So if you want, you can test it with this. Okay, so let me just take this screenshot. These are the common keywords. Format can be used on any method. Format is a normal keyword. You can use it on any method. It doesn't matter. So output is in JSON format. So use get option, execute the service with same key field equal to value after entity set. The only thing is additionally we are using format keyword. So the output point of view, the format is JSON now. This is like testing screenshot 4. Okay, so I've already provided this. And you can try like this. Now say suppose I want to fetch metadata of this service. This I've already explained in the last session also. To fetch metadata of this service, then you can use URI option directly and use something like $metadata here. $metadata, execute the service. You will get all the fields which you have imported into ODATA service. So entity type is EMP. You can see that. There are two key fields, user ID and first name. There are two key fields. That's part of metadata. And you can see the list of fields, user ID, first name, last name, email ID, country, salary, phone, and with data type and length is also available. And then there is entity set. What's entity set in this service? EMP set. So that's also available here. And what's a complete URL for executing the service from external browsers? So that's also available here. Okay, so let me just take this screenshot. This is to get metadata of ODATA service by using $metadata immediately after service name. Execute the service with get option. You'll get all these things. Name of the entity type you can see here. And the list of key fields, they're available here. And what are the other fields with the data type and length, that's also available here. So you can notice that. And what is the entity set in this service, that's also available. If you want to execute service from external applications or external browsers, so this is a complete URL that also is available. So all these things comes under metadata of that service. $metadata, metadata is a keyword. Okay, let me use this. Now say suppose I want to fetch output record with specific fields. Same like last session, I want to fetch output record with specific fields. That's also possible for get entity method. So what you can do, first select entity set here. After entity set, if you want to execute get entity, use brackets, provide key field equal to value. Value in single quotes. Second key field equal to its value, value in single quotes. After this, I want to fetch output with a specific fields. Then you can use something like question mark dollar select is a keyword. You can use question mark dollar select as a keyword, and you can provide the fields whichever you want to see as part of output. I want to see output of user ID, first name, email ID, something like country and salary. I don't want last name, I don't want phone number. I just want to see the data of these 5 fields. Then execute the service. Now you can see the data is available for those 5 fields only here. User ID, first name, email ID, country, salary. So select is a normal keyword. It works for any URL or any service. Okay, so here we are using select keyword with field names. That means which fields you want to see in output, those field names you can provide. And output will be displayed according to that. Execute the service with get option. So this is like screenshot 6. Let me make it like this. Let me provide this in the URL. Fields or 5 fields or whatever, you can try with these URLs. Now here, say suppose if you want to develop a front end for this, front end we are going to develop in the coming days when we start theory. Front end app development, we'll do it in the coming days, don't worry. But let me just give some idea how exactly this functionality gets executed, how the front end should be designed for this type of functionality. Let me just give some idea. So here, let me open one of the application which is created earlier. Let me open the tool. Okay, let me execute project with all various options. So here, let me make you understand get entity implementation, how it gets executed, how the screen can look like. So here you can see there are several options: form, list, table, charts, microcharts. We are going to develop in the UI5 theory side. Don't worry, but here you can see there is one option. Okay, you can see there is a form first field with a key field. In this example, there is only one key field, but you can see if I provide, for example, 1001, so that record is retrieved dynamically here by using live change event. We are not using button. If you want, you can use a button. But here, as soon as you change the input, for example, if I make 1002, so that record is retrieved. Ajay Sharma here. If I use 1003, so that record is retrieved. You can see Suman Kumar. If I change the input, for example, 1001, so that record is retrieved. 1002, so that record is retrieved. 1006, so that record is retrieved. So the point here is, for get entity method, you can have this type of front-end screen. And you can have a button, or you can directly use a live change event to fetch the data. So here input is part of form, output is also part of the form. This is technically a form here. So for input field, we are using something like live change event. When you provide some input, we are using some live change event here. So front-end side, this is like your input field, which contains live change event. If we are not using a button, if you want, you can use a button with press event in the front end. But here what we have done is I've taken some input field with something like live change event. For live change event, we have assigned event handler. That event handler is triggering bind element method. Event handler technically triggers bind element method in this case. So bind element method triggers, it's a front-end method, right? So front-end bind element method automatically triggers get entity method of ODATA service. Bind element executes get entity method of ODATA service, and this record is retrieved dynamically. Backend method, that means ODATA method. So get entity method can be used in this manner. If you don't want live change, then you can create a separate button. For that button, you can assign event handler, but ultimately bind element triggers get entity method of ODATA service. And you can expect your output record here. For output point of view, if you want, you can use input fields or you can use text fields here. It doesn't matter. Here I've used text screen elements for displaying the output as part of simple form. We have used text screen elements for displaying the output as part of output form here. All these things, they're technically part of a form. So input is part of a form. Output is also part of a form. For input purpose, we have taken an input field here. For output purpose, we are using text screen elements. For input, we have used live change event. Event handler is assigned with bind element is executed in the front end so that get entity method of ODATA service is executed here. Then you are able to get that output record matching with this so-and-so input. Okay, so let me just take this screenshot. Let me save it. Okay, just let me go to that coding, just one implementation. So here we are going to write that code, but if you just want to see that code, let me just check it here. Bind element. Okay, just you can see we have written just 3 lines code here. In the front end side, in event handler, in one of the controller in the front end, we have used one event handler like fetch record EH that is assigned to live change event. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to capture input and we're getting the reference of output form and we're using bind element. We're configuring name of the entity set. In this example, there is only single key field. So we are passing that key field from front end dynamically. So bind element method is going to trigger get entity method of ODATA service. From front end side, you have to provide name of the entity set. And from front end, you have to pass key field value here. In this example, there is only single key field. So I'm using that dynamically, that single key field value, which is captured in the first step here. Let me just make you understand this. Bind element. This is the name of the entity set and the key field we are passing. If there is multiple key fields, you can just add a concatenation with a comma separator. Use comma separator and add another key field if you want. So this executes get entity method. Configure entity sets and provide key field value. A bind element executes get entity method. Bind element is front end method, get entity is back end method. That's how the framework is designed. So accordingly, we are writing the code and you're configuring the entity set here. And we are passing the key field value. Configure entity set and pass key field value dynamically from the screen. So this logic is implemented here, nothing more than that. Okay, just 3 lines code is implemented in the front end side. Event handler is calling bind element calls get entity method. Okay, so this type of development, we are going to do it in the coming days, don't worry. But this is how it works. Internally, it is triggering bind element is triggering get entity is fetching this output record dynamically. Okay, so let me go back. Now say suppose, think like this. I want to test these URLs from external browser. As of now, we are testing from gateway client here. But I want to test it from an external browser, for example. Then let me try REST client here. Alternative tool to test ODATA services. You can use one alternative tool to test ODATA services. That is, you can use REST client. Let me try from here. From browser, I think I can open REST client. If it is not testing in Firefox, I'll try to test it from Google Chrome. So let me copy this URL here. So this is the total URL syntax you can use. And you can provide entity sets, use brackets, within brackets, provide key field, user ID, something like 1001, comma, first name, as for example, Vijay in this case. So we are trying to provide the entire server name, port number, and the complete service URL, along with other options, same like normal gateway client. Name of the entity set, key field equal to value in the brackets. If this browser is working, then you can click send option. Now here, if I go to response section, Okay, this is not working here. What I'll do is I'll open Google Chrome. Google Chrome also contains REST client. So let me search it here. You can add REST client to your browser. REST client for Chrome. A simple add-on. You can just search with that. REST client for Chrome. You can see there is a link here. You can just click on launch app. If it is already added, you can click on launch app here. Okay, you can see that it's already available. So now here you can provide the entire URL. Okay, let me copy our URLs here. The REST client, this is an external. So after service name, you can use entity set. And then you can pass your key field equal to value here in brackets. Example 1001. So that's how you can pass it. But here we are trying to pass along with server name, port number, and the protocol is used. Because this is an external software which is going to connect to SAP server. SAP gateway client is internal to SAP, but this REST client is external to SAP. So you have to provide the complete server name, port number, along with protocol. Let me try what happens if the syntax is okay. If I click send, then you can see we are able to get that output record here in XML format. In REST client also, we are able to get it. Let me. Okay, you can see here, after providing this service name, we are using same URL, entity set, brackets with key field equal to value, comma, second key field equal to value. When you click send option, now you can see we are able to get that response here. 1001 Vijay@ca.com, India, 89000, phone number, something like that. So the same ODATA service is executed. That means get entity is executed even when you try the same URLs from REST client. That means external browser or external software. Okay, let me take the screenshot. It's not mandatory, but if you want, you can use it. This is a REST client. In REST client also, you'll get the same output. Okay, so here, if I change the input, for example, let me use, for example, Suman. And let me use, for example, 1003 is associated with that. So click on send, then you'll get that output record here. 1003 Suman Kumar, suman@ca.com, India, salary, phone number, etc. So what all URLs we have tested from here, all these URLs will work. These things remain same. It will not change. And if you want, you can use $$ format equal to JSON also. Let me add this. That's also possible. At the end, I'm using, let me try with $$ format equal to JSON. Execute the service. Now the same output, but in different format. That is JSON format, we are able to get it here. The same output, but with different format. XML format is the default, but now we are able to get JSON format output here. Left side field name, right side value. So the point here is whatever URL syntaxes we have used, everything will work, even from REST client or an external software. Now say suppose if I want to use dollar metadata, let me try this. After service name, I can use dollar metadata. So let me try here and execute the service. Now you can see we are able to get the list of entity type names, list of key fields, and key field along with its length, every field with length, and you can see the name of the entity set. Everything is retrieved here. Same like what we used to get in gateway client. So what all we get in gateway client, the same output you can experience here, even for metadata here. So whether you test from REST client or gateway client, it doesn't matter. The same ODATA service is executing get entity method when you use brackets. Here you can see the same options, more or less the same options. You'll find it in REST client also: get, post, put, delete, etc. Get, post, put, delete. So the same options are available even here. So gateway client is internal to SAP, REST client is external to SAP. But the same ODATA service can be executed to get the same type of output. The only thing is, while executing the service, you have to provide this complete server name, port number, and the protocol also when you're testing from external browsers or external softwares. Okay, let me write it here. You can open Google Chrome. Google.com, something like that, and search for REST client for Chrome and click on add. First time, just click add, and after that, launch. You have to click on launch app. That's like REST client app. Then it opens the REST client in your system. Let me check here. In my case, it's already added, so I'm directly getting the launch app option here. When you click launch app, then it opens this. From here, you can use get option and you can provide the complete URL. Let me take the screenshot. This is like external browser like that. Take this as well. So the only thing is additionally you have to use protocol, server name, port number. The rest of the URLs will remain same like what we have done in the last session and today's session. Let me just add this. Add protocol, add server name, add port number. When you're testing from external browsers or external softwares. URL prefix for external browser REST clients. Now say suppose I want to test the previous functionality. Let me open that project here. You can see in the last session we have created BAPI ODATA project. Let me just open that. BAPI ODATA project. Let me go to this. So here, this is our service. If you execute, you're able to get all the records of that flight set here. Now the same thing you can experience in the REST client also from external browser. The only thing is you have to use that prefix. Okay, let me try this. Let me use it here. In REST client, I'm using. After entity set, I want to use question mark, dollar, for example, format, equal to JSON. So flight set question mark dollar format equal to JSON. So let me click on execute here. There are so many records. Okay, you can see we're able to get that output here. So we are able to get that output, and the output data is in JSON format. Airline ID, AA American Airlines, you can see everything. You can see SQ Singapore Airlines and UA United Airlines. So you'll get all records, the same output. Whatever output you experience in your gateway client, you can also experience from this REST client, external browser. So we are able to get that output. There is no problem here. So when you're fetching the data, you'll get status as 200. When the data retrieval is success, basically you'll get status as 200 with OK. That means the method is successfully executed. So here also you can see when you're trying to execute, you're getting 200 with status OK. When you try to use get option, if get option is successful, whether it is get entity or get entity set, it doesn't matter. Whenever get is successful, by default you'll get status code 200 as status reason OK. It can be REST client or gateway client in the same situation. So the point here is very simple. This is not required. Let me just make a note. For executing or testing ODATA service URLs are same for SAP gateway clients as well as REST clients. That's external browser. For testing ODATA services, the ODATA service URLs are same for both gateway client as well as REST client. In gateway client, this is within SAP system. This is from external browser. Outside SAP system, that means from external browser we are trying to do it. So within SAP system, no need of protocol. Internal it will add it, but we need not provide protocol, port number, server name. But when you're testing or executing ODATA service from REST client from external browsers, then there is a need for this one. You need to provide prefix. You need to provide a prefix with this one. Protocol, server name, and port number. So that's the only difference. But rest of the URL syntaxes, keywords, execution, method options, everything is same. If you want, you can just open your Google Chrome, go to Google search and search for REST client for Chrome, click on add. After adding, it will just add it within fraction of seconds. Then after adding, you can finally launch that app. Then test the URLs. So in the coming days, we are going to develop the front-end app, don't worry. And tomorrow what we'll do is we'll try to execute another method. That is, we'll try to implement get entity set method. After that, we are going to compare get entity with get entity set. We'll compare that. After that, I'll go for doubts for these two methods. This is not the right time to clarify doubts because there is some dependency on get entity set also. Let me compare both the methods, then we'll go for doubts. That will be much better. Tomorrow we'll do that.